Alright, legends, welcome along to a swift little review here. Well, when I say review, it's more or less my thoughts on David Tennant returning to Doctor Who once again. And for me, it is a stroke of genius. An absolute stroke of genius. Now, you really need to look at it from the perspective of where the show was at right now. I did a little short on the channel here about Tennant returning, and in all fairness, a lot of people have dropped off from Doctor Who in recent years, and it's got nothing to do, before anybody gets into the comment section about, it been anti-female. It's nothing to do with that there. I do recall either in a podcast or a video somewhere along the line at the very beginning when Jodie Whittaker took over from the role of the Doctor, I thought from the very beginning she had the potential to be an absolutely fantastic Doctor, and in my humble opinion, I don't think she got the chance to shine as the Doctor. As I say, there was a hell of a lot of potential in Jodie to be a fantastic Doctor, but I think the writing had let her down, and I think that I did share my feelings on that there way back at the beginning. In her first few episodes, I think I had said that. It's definitely been my opinion anyway from the very beginning of her and her as her being the Doctor. Chibnall, in my opinion, was the worst thing to happen to Doctor Who. I don't think he's a strong writer, and definitely even in that last story, The Power of the Doctor, there's so many things there that just didn't work. And yes, what's his face turns up in it. Gosh, I can't even remember his name now. In the show, the guy that presents the chase turns up in that episode, and he was a regular occurrence throughout the series. Bradley Walsh. That's how far out of Doctor Who I have been in recent years. I can't even recall his character's name, but they didn't. He turns up in that episode under a volcano, hunting Daleks. They don't even bother to give you an explanation of how he even got there in the first place. He literally, Ace is there. It was good to see her back in it. That's the first series of Doctor Who I remember watching as a kid, was the series that she was in, along with McCoy as the Doctor. And yes, she turns up. She gets dropped off by the TARDIS in this volcano to go after the Daleks. He shows up, no explanation, and even whenever the TARDIS comes back to pick her up, the Doctor steps out of the TARDIS, sees him stand, she's like, "Oh, how did you get here?" It's an absolute... It was a joke in the show that, yes, there's no explanation of why he's even here. They kind of joke it off in the episode as he's running towards the TARDIS, and the Doctor's like, "How did you get here?" And he's like, "How did you get here?" Who else? Tegan. It was good to see Tegan back again. That section in the building where she's crawling down the ladder, or climbing down the ladder in like an elevator shaft sort of thing, and the Cybermen discover she's there. They start shooting at her. She drops from the ladder. She's no other option but to drop from the ladder to get away from the Cybermen, but it's easily a fall that would kill anybody. They don't even show you how she survived the fall. Few shots later, Tegan turns up. She's in the basement to do whatever she needs to do within the episode. No explanation there whatsoever. So there's two sections of bad writing, even in that last story. There's a few other things throughout that episode that I could nitpick on that just didn't work, in my opinion. But that's why I dropped off from watching Doctor Who. Not even before the end of the first series that Jodie was a Doctor, and again had nothing to do with her being the Doctor, it all come down to bad writing, in my opinion. Chibnall destroyed the show, and you just have to look at the ratings for the show when it was cancelled back in the 80s. And sorry to say that it was in McCoy's series. It was cancelled, and the ratings that it was getting then, that made the BBC make the decision, okay, we're going to not invest any more money and time into Doctor Who. It's not paying off the way we want it to pay off. We're going to cancel the show. The figures, ratings in the 80s are pretty much identical to what the ratings are at the moment for Doctor Who. So in honesty, in all fairness, if I was the heads of the show at this point, I would be like, can we justify actually continuing on with Doctor Who? It doesn't matter who's on the title roles of Doctor at the moment. The ratings just do not, in my mind, justify continuing on with the show, because, you know, the visual effects of Doctor Who right now are far away bigger and better right now than what they were back in the 80s whenever it was cancelled. And I can't see how they can justify keeping the show going. If you look at it just from that perspective, from the perspective of a production company, I can't see how they can financially justify putting money behind Doctor Who right now, because if it's not paying off now the way they want it to be paying off, why the hell would you keep doing it? And people are saying it's not fair to this newer Doctor. I'm not even going to try and attempt to say his name, because I haven't heard it properly to actually attempt saying it. Like, it's one of my weak points as a person, is trying to pronounce some names, so I'm not going to do it right now. You know who I'm talking about, the new Doctor that was supposed to step on here, but you know, people were surprised to see David Tennant popping up again, and he's only there for like free specials or something throughout the next year. There is I know there's scheduling problems with the new Doctor at the moment, so you know, even if they did introduce him as the Doctor right now, they would have to wait another year before he actually gets enough time freed up to actually start shooting episodes. So we're going to be stuck a year without any Doctor Who. So they had to get a Doctor to bridge the gap, essentially. But to bring Tennant back right now, it is, in my humble opinion, it is a sheer act of desperation at this point, because, as I say, the show's doomed. The viewing figures at this point, again, they're exactly the same as they were back in the 80s when the show was cancelled. So, you know, it just stands to reason the show has to be on the chopping block at this point. We have got a new Doctor coming in, but what are you going to do whenever, you know, it's a gamble. And I don't want to take anything away from this new Doctor coming in, but the show at this point has lost a hell of a lot of viewers. And you just look it up. Just look up the viewing figures from literally from Tennant leaving to now. Just look at the figures from then. Like, the show hasn't been on the high that it was whenever he was in it before. And it doesn't matter what your opinion is on the Doctors. Like, you know, people are going to look at Jodie Whittaker as their favourite Doctor. Everybody has the first Doctor they've watched, and that Doctor is always going to be, you know, the Doctor that you enjoy the most, the Doctor you have a big connection with. Like Sylvester McCoy, historically probably not one of the best Doctors, but he was the Doctor Who that I first seen on television and watched every week when the show was on. I adored him as a Doctor. I have to say, really did enjoy him in the role as a Doctor, but he's not the best Doctor. But he is the Doctor that brought me into the show. And yes, I do have a soft point for that Doctor and Ace as well. So yes, so Jodie Whittaker is going to have her die-hard fans. I have been watching reaction videos of the regeneration from Jodie Whittaker and the David Tennant, and there was one little video that I seen there where this girl was devastated to see Jodie going and Tennant coming back. The vast majority of people were like over the moon to see David popping up after the regeneration. But there is that reaction of a few videos that I've seen where young girls were devastated to see their Doctor going, and even though, and you know, most people's opinions, David Tennant right now is probably the best Doctor, arguably, definitely of the new generation of Doctor Who. If you set him up against the classics, and you know, if you're going like with John Pertwee and those guys, like it's going to be a difficult one to say who's the best Doctor of all time. But David Tennant's definitely one of the highest ones. But again, I have seen a few reactions where people are devastated to see him coming back. So you know, people are going to have mixed opinions on what's happening with Doctor Who right now. But literally, it is, in my mind, the show is in a place where since Tennant went out and Matt Smith came in, and you know, I enjoyed his run fairly well, but I hung in there throughout his run, right up until Jodie came into the show, and I got to near the end of her first season, and I haven't watched the show properly since then. I have ducked in every once in a while throughout a run, but again, as I said at the beginning of this episode, and I'll give you a few examples of the terrible writing decisions where, you know, Chibnall just seems to like to write some action sequences and not have any real, tangible, you know, getting from point A to point B in a story. It's just like, you know, this would look cool. Doesn't have to make sense. It looks amazing. This looks fantastic visually. This would be great. But, oh, Mr. Chibnall, this doesn't make any sense. I'm the showrunner. Get out of my office. You know, it's one of those things. So to see him going, getting out of there, Russell T Davies coming back, I think is, you know, if you're going to try to save the show at this point, who better to do it than Russell T Davies and David Tennant? Because they're definitely, and it's paid off. It definitely has paid off. It's a gamble, but a gamble is going to pay off, because in my mind, I'm a viewer. I have got a science fiction podcast called Sceam, Botty, where I'm literally right now reviewing Star Trek as often as I can, and I'm back in the 60s episodes, and some of those they're great episodes, most of them. Some of them are shocking mad, but I'm the sort of person that can sit down and watch a terrible show and find something in it to enjoy. But for the like of me to fall off a show like Doctor Who altogether, you know, the show is in trouble if you're starting to lose a viewer like me. And it definitely has been a gamble that has paid off. This is literally Jodie Whittaker's regeneration was the first generation since the show has been brought back that I haven't watched live as it happened, as it was broadcast. I didn't even know the regeneration was happening in that episode until the following morning. I woke up and my brother had sent a video across to me saying, look, check out what happened last night, and we had David Tennant back. Like, so that's where the show was at. The figures are not justifying the show even existing at this point, whenever you look back at what happened in the 80s, and it was cancelled back then. So I know I'm repeating myself at this point, but I'm trying to make the point here before somebody gets all uppity in the comments and like, oh, I'm getting all offended now because you're not liking my Doctor. It's got nothing to do with that. It has got absolutely nothing to do with that. You know, the show's not getting the figures in that it should be getting in, and for a show with the visual effects, the level of effects that Doctor Who has at the moment, you know, the higher ups in the BBC are well justified at this point to actually pull the plug all together on the show, no matter what your opinion is of it. And yes, it's all down to Chibnall and his disastrous attempt at being a showrunner, and that half-wit that was in there before him as showrunner wasn't much better. But yeah, Chibnall's got a lot to answer for, and again, in my humble opinion. But it is what it is. The facts and figures are there. If you literally look at that show was bleeding like at least 2 million viewers per season since he took over, and yeah, absolute disaster. But again, this new Doctor, I haven't seen much of him, and again, I'm not even going to try to say his name at this point because I haven't heard it actually been said properly by anybody at the moment, and I don't want to insult the man by trying to say his name and screwing it up, so I'm not going to do it. But you know, he may be one of the best Doctors we're ever going to see. I don't know. I haven't seen him acting before. I haven't seen him in anything else. But hopefully he's great at it. But what we do need right now is a proper sort of reset to the show. Bring it back to something more familiar. And it's nothing to do... Like, I could go into a whole load of reasons why I think that it didn't work with Chibnall. And I think that he was trying to be too... I don't want to say this here in a way that... Well, I'm just going to say it, because it is what it is. We've seen this with countless shows in the last few years. The woke factor isn't paying off the way that the whole woke clan would like to see it paying off. There's a lot of people that like to look for more diversity in shows, but the people that sign petitions online for this, that and the other, and we want we want things to be more woke and more our agenda being pushed forward in the shows. And like Chibnall did try to do that within his shows, but the people that want that sort of thing sign petitions and whatnot online to try and get this sort of movement, these sorts of movements going, aren't historically at this point the people that will actually sit down and watch a show once the changes are been made. So like, people are seeing this on Twitter was shocking for it. For a long time there was a few shows that went very, very woke, changed their whole outlook, and in all fairness, Chibnall's Doctor Who was one of them. And you did see the people starting to drift off the viewership once the changes were made. And yeah, so it is what it is, you know. It's okay for people to want these changes, but if they're not going to watch the shows that are actually changing to try and keep them happy, then you know, they can't complain whenever the shows get to a point where they're in the trouble that Doctor Who is in at this point. So I'm excited to see what happens over the next 3 specials. And it's not like we're going to get the same Doctor this time, even though it's David Tennant playing that there. We've had 3 incarnations of the Doctor since he left, so he's going to be in there as the version of Doctor number 10, but he has got the experiences of 11, 12 and 13 as well. So it's going to be a similar Doctor, but slightly different as well. So it's going to be the same Doctor that we remember him as, but slightly different as well. So it's going to be interesting no matter what way it goes at this point. So that's my thoughts on David Tennant being back. And yes, on the subject of David Tennant, I literally did watch an hour show that he was in today, and I might actually do a video on that very soon as well. So that's going to do it, guys. Cheers for checking out the video, and I will talk to you on the next one.